man, oh man, I don't know how my San Francisco 49ers are going to try and bounce back from this one because they had another winnable game right in their eyesight, and yet they... excuse me. Something in my throat because they choked. They choked again. Another winnable game against a beatable team in the Arizona Cardinals. Yet, they let it slip by. They let it slip by as the Niners lost this game in Week 5, 24-23. So, yeah, the Niners played relatively good in the first half, but then in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, they pretty much disappeared. They pretty much disappeared in that one, and a lot of the disappearing act had to do with their defense, questionable coaching and play calling, and yeah, I'd say mistakes. There were some key critical mistakes that happened in that one. So let's talk about it for both teams. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals, it had some mixed results in the first half for Arizona. They started off hot out of the gates with Kyler Murray getting a big touchdown run at midfield. He pretty much fooled everyone on the first play. Gave it to James Conner, and then he tucked it and ran with it. And then even Tom Brady was like, "Oh, he's gonna run it himself." And then he pretty much did. And he pretty much ran to the house. They took an early 7-0 lead. The Niners pretty much responded from that point onward and took the lead a quarter later. And then the Niners managed to take a 23-10 lead at halftime after a special teams gift on a blocked field goal, and then going into halftime, they took another field goal. So pretty much, it was 23-10 49ers going to the halftime, but that was pretty much all they could score from there. Like literally, they go on this long drive that amounts to nothing, and then Arizona goes on their own long drive that turns into a touchdown on their little trick play. And then they decide to go for two because of a penalty that puts them closer to the goal line, and they actually get the two. So now the Niners are in danger of dropping this lead, and it seems like all they have to do, because they're actually moving the ball, all they have to do is go and score. All they have to do is go and score, and that'll be the game. But no, they fumble the ball. They actually fumble the ball. Jordan Mason couldn't protect the ball, and it goes away. It goes away in favor of the Cardinals, and they march down the field and take the lead off of a field goal. And it seems like now the Niners have to go and win from behind, and they can't kick a field goal because of a particular thing that happens during this game. So they have to go win off of a touchdown, but they can't do that because a couple plays into their hurry up mode, Brock Purdy throws a ill-advised interception. So, not great stuff. Really, really not great stuff. The Niners dropped this one 24-23, and to a division rival, mind you, which was I feared for, to the Arizona Cardinals, and now sitting at 2-3, 0-2 in the division, going into a short week, mind you. Not a great start to October for the 49ers. So let's talk about how exactly the Arizona Cardinals got to this point. How they made this comeback happen. First of all, they started off with James Conner. He started off slow in this game. The Niners managed to crack down on him. And the offensive line for Arizona, they couldn't provide many running lanes for him. And the Niners defense, like I said, they managed to shut him down for most of the first half, and in a good chunk of the second half too. But the fourth quarter is where James Conner managed to turn it around. That it changed when he started grounding and pounding that Niners defense that started to get a little bit exposed, and the offensive line started to crack the code on that Niners run defense. So that opened the door for James Conner to smash them into the ground. I wouldn't say for big runs and all that, but for runs that were enough to convert key first downs for the Cardinals to start to claw their way back into this game. So James Conner was a big key for the Cardinals to keep on moving down the field and to get that key touchdown and to get that key field goal to take the lead for good. Meanwhile, for defensively, sure, they let themselves get gashed in the air by Purdy, Ayuk, and Kittle in the first half. But in the second half, even though they were still getting gashed by those three, plus of course Deebo Samuel and Juwan Jennings, they kept them almost relatively quiet in the fourth quarter, and I felt that was key as well. Now, even though they couldn't really keep Purdy contained in the pocket, the Cardinals secondary still did a good job in minimizing Purdy's option. Like, even though Purdy was like all around scrambling around the pocket, they really had his options locked down, especially when they're in the red zone area. Like, sure, Purdy can run around all over the place, but then they had like all of his receiving options on lock. So Arizona did a good job of doing that, and it pretty much was the reason why they held the 49ers scoreless in the second half. So speaking of my 49ers, let's start with a few positives before we get into the bad, like the really bad. Brandon Ayuk, like, finally showed up. He finally had his best game Sunday. Almost looking like his old self. Getting open for Purdy, running the key routes, having a 6-catch, 100-yard day. He was getting very involved in this one. So at least when we look at it, despite the loss, Purdy was back to finding Ayuk, his main man from last year and the year prior. So at least, taking away from this, at least we're getting another our top option for Purdy back. So that's something at least. Meanwhile, the special teams, for as much as I criticized them in the last couple of games, they somewhat had their best day. And while that's not saying much, but they did score. They did score a touchdown here. So that started with Jordan Elliott, the defensive lineman, blocking a field goal in the second quarter, and then Diamador Lenore, the corner, scooping it up for a touchdown. So, I mean, I can't really talk shit about the special teams this week. They did manage to do something pretty notable. But unfortunately, the special teams did suffer a big loss, and that was our kicker, Jake Moody. He suffered a injury to his ankle trying to tackle return man DJ Dallas immediately after, by the way, after the touchdown. So he was carted off to the locker room. We don't know the severity of the ankle injury yet, but at the time it didn't seem like the loss of Moody didn't seem bad at all. Yeah, that was until that comeback happened though, and trying to hold off that comeback, trying to burn time. So yeah, that happened. The special teams happened, and then moving on to the bad stuff. The red zone. Like, why are we so allergic? Why are they so allergic to the red zone? Like, I really don't get why they have such difficulty scoring touchdowns when in the red area. Like, I don't know if it's a coaching thing, a player thing, or maybe it might be both. It could be a dose of both. Like, I like Brock Purdy. I think he's been a really good quarterback for us. But especially, considering the first couple of games of the season, the growth has been pretty immense, if you ask me. But you can't be backpedaling. You can't be like scrambling for eternity, only to find nothing. Like, for example, he's in the red zone and he sees the pressure coming. Like, you can't be going back and forth so much, and then you don't see anything. Like, you gotta find something at some point, or just throw the ball away. It's like we're coming up too empty on these possessions. And especially, on that third down, it's not the third down play, the second down play, where, like, in that long drive in the third quarter, like, he was scrambling for his life, and then he kept backpedaling, and then when he tried to come back to the line of scrimmage, no, he got sacked. He got sacked for a loss. It's like, no, like that's what I often fear when Brock Purdy does that now. It's like, sure, I'm glad that he's scrambling out of the pocket now, like a good amount. But it's like when he's going too far, when he's backpedaling too far, and he's trying to make it back, that's the exact result. If he gets hit way behind the line of scrimmage, then it's gonna set us back even more. Like, no, don't do that. So anyway, when it comes to the coaching, the play calling is very sus. Like, it's not really helping either. Like with Kyle Shanahan, like why is Kyle Shanahan, for example, like before the first half, why exactly is he calling 3 straight passes before halftime? Like wouldn't it be wise? I mean, I'm just a filthy casual fan, by the way. Like, wouldn't it be wise to squeeze like a run from Jordan Mason on a second down and then call a timeout? If he doesn't score, they had 1 timeout left, if I remember correctly, before the half. Like throw the ball. Like, okay, they didn't make it. And then run the ball with Jordan Mason on 2nd and goal. And then if he puts you closer to the line of scrimmage, which he had been doing, then you could throw the ball. Or even better, run the ball with Jordan Mason. Either way, it's like they really need to create plays that turn to touchdowns in the red zone because, yeah, they've been really struggling with that. And it's either turned into field goals or turned into nothing. And especially when they're eating up half of these quarters and it's come away with almost nothing. So all these missed opportunities, all these mistakes, it's turned into another choke. And this choke came courtesy to the Arizona Cardinals. So here we are. They not only choke another game to a division rival, they're 0-2, but they lose a kicker. They lose Jake Moody. You got to find a kicker now for your next game, which is not that far off. But man, I'm just speechless. I'm still speechless of how we lost this game. Like, this was terrible. This was terrible all around. Terrible coaching from Kyle Shanahan, making Purdy throw that much when you really should have balanced it out. With more running from Jordan Mason, more from Grendo, and I get it. They were Arizona. We're eventually stopping it. Like, maybe you shouldn't have Purdy throw it so deep so much. Stop trying to have him go for that home run ball so much. It's okay to go for the check down every once in a while. And then more terrible coaching from Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley. Again, when the defense couldn't stop the run and stop the pass, and maybe it's the players too. The execution of said play calls was not working. The only positives were Ayuk coming around and the special teams looking somewhat competent. So overall, like this loss was I guess you could say it's an indictment of how this season has been going so far. It's been effort that's been going, like, that starts in the first half, and then in the second half it goes down the shitter. It really goes down the shitter because 2 chokes in three games, like, that's just unreal, man. That is really unreal. Because looking at it now, you're 0-2 in the division, and now here we are, going to week 6 on a short week in Seattle, mind you. You have to go on the road up northwest in Seattle, and you don't have much time to mope around again. In contrast to a couple weeks ago when you're back home, ready to face New England. Now this time around, you don't have much time to mope around because you got to travel to play the Seahawks on a Thursday night. Now, even though those Seahawks lost to the Giants, I mean, they technically still have the division lead. Win that game, you kind of have a chance. But you still got a lot of shit to fix. Lose that game, though, if you're the 49ers, you're staring at an early 0-3 division hole. Yeah, you've lost half of to the division already. Like, wow. Like, how are you gonna recover? How are you gonna recover from that? And that's gonna be a hard hole to climb out of. Like, if they don't get their shit together, and it's only gonna get harder from there. Like, it really is gonna get harder for the 49ers. Like, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and then the Bills, the Packers, and then you gotta play the division again. I mean, it's still a far ways off, but still, the way they're playing now, and if they don't fix that, like, what are we doing here? What are you doing if you're the 49ers? It's like, I feel like you got to come together and give yourselves a wake up call. And I don't know if that comes this Thursday in Seattle, but something's got to happen with this group. Like, something really has to happen to this group, because as it stands right now, they are not looking like not just Super Bowl contenders, but not even playoff contenders right now. Yeah, that Super Bowl curse is really hanging large on this team right now. And it's not just injuries. It's not the injuries that's causing this. It's just the effort. It really is the effort of this team. So, yeah, the Niners dropped this one 24-23 in favor of the Arizona Cardinals. Let me know your thoughts on the Niners loss and, well, what they can do to bounce back against the Seahawks this coming Thursday. Since it is a short week, we'll be doing as much as my willpower can to give you a preview of that game as soon as possible. So, yeah, that's going to be coming up real soon. That's going to be coming here on Very Cold Lasagna. So, until then, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And, as always, peace out.